What is up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to continue some more lake breakdowns. This time, we're actually going to go out to Lake Limestone in Texas. So we're starting a new lake breakdown here. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. This one's a pretty good one. Found lots of good stuff out on this lake. Looks like it's got some giants in it too. It just has that perfect little Texas feel to it that looks like it's one of those we need to go check out. Let's see what we found. As we always do, we go into the Texas Park and Wildlife page to look at really information about the lake, what we can find, what the lake has to offer, all of that good stuff. And we've been, switching over into different states lately. And I have to say, Texas Park and Wildlife is the bomb when it comes to giving us information on the lake. So let's take a look at this one really quick. This is Lake Limestone. The location is on the Navasoto, or maybe Navasoto, not sure how that's pronounced, river, 15 miles southeast of Groesbeck on Farm Road 3371 in Leon, Robertson, and Limestone counties. Surface acres is 12,553. Maximum depth is 43, and it was impounded in 1978. You can see here the fluctuation. It really didn't fluctuate that much, so we weren't able to find a ton of stuff on Google Earth, but still plenty of stuff to cover with you guys. Normal water clarity is stained, and then if you come down here and look at aquatic vegetation, it has cattails, hydrilla, lily pads, pondweed, water hyacinth, and willows. So sorry, that hyacinth is hard to say, and willows. So all kinds of awesome aquatic vegetation to fish. This looks like it would be an awesome lake. Also predominant fish species: largemouth bass, white bass, crappie, channel blue, and flathead catfish. If we look down here at the lake records, some pretty good stuff. We go in here to largemouth bass, 11 pounds. Pretty sweet. That was back in 2004. I've got a feeling someone has caught something bigger than that since 2004 in this lake. Just by looking at the breakdown, it looked like it would be a really good one. We look in here as well, kind of looking at what the lake has to offer. Largemouth bass angling opportunities is good, catfish is good, crappie is good, white bass is good, and sunfish is poor. You can also see a little bit of other stuff in here where it talks about the lake and gives you some different types of things to look at. Also, you have the habitat structure viewer. If you click on this, this will actually take us out and show us where the brush piles are on Lake Limestone. I've taken those brush piles or fish attractors, whatever you want to call them, and I've imported them into Google Earth so that we'll have those there. So now all we need to do is switch off this page and go over to Google Earth. Let's do it. Here we are on Google Earth with Lake Limestone. You can see here in the picture, you can see all the different waypoints. Let's look over here to the left-hand side and let's talk about the way that this is really organized or structured within inside of Google Earth. So first off, we've got channels and ditches. I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck this stuff. We've got channels and ditches that are out here. Quite a few different creek channels and things like that, as well as some ditches. The ditches are the ones in yellow, or they're pointed out with these icons. The creek channels are more the ones that you see here with the green lines. So if you were to want to fish around the creek channels, you could really get in here and really follow these different channels and ditches that are going on within the lake. We've also got lots of different cover. That's going to be laydowns, brush, debris, stuff that we didn't even know what it was. So we just said check it. You can see there's a saddle there, there's a hump, a fence, so just all kinds of different cover to fish around. We also have a lot of different offshore hotspots on this lake to go take a look at. So it looks like it has some pretty good offshore opportunities, and what we'll do is we'll come back on a different video. We'll use the Navionics mobile app to show you those offshore hotspots, the contours and stuff like that, the reasons why we believe those are going to be good places to go look to find some fish. We've also got ramps and slabs, lots of different personal ramps that are on this lake. So you can see where we've marked a lot of them as slabs, and then the main ones are mainly the ramps. That is a great pattern to run at certain times of the year, so you do not want to overlook it. We've got a lot of those to fish on this lake for sure. We've also got quite a few opportunities for rock. So, you know, this obviously isn't a super rocky area, but definitely some opportunities for some rock, whether it be man-made riprap or just rock that we found as we went around the bank line and looked for different types of rock piles and stuff like that. And then last but not least, like we just talked about, the Texas Park and Wildlife has put out some fish attractors on this lake. They're down here by the dam, but right here off the corner here, really close to this ramp, you can see that we've got about 5 different fish attractors that are out there to take a look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to take off the offshore stuff because we're going to talk about that on a different video. And I'm just going to pull back here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to hide this sidebar so we can see the full screen here. Now we've got everything in front of us. And what I want to do is I want to draw this back to 2014. That seems to be the best image that I could find on Google Earth where I could actually see you know, what was going on, and the water was actually pretty far down. It didn't have a ton of fluctuation. I think we saw in that Texas Park and Wildlife, it was only 1 to 3 feet. So not a ton of stuff that we were able to see from there. Not sure why this offshore spot is still popping up here, but apparently that's going to be a good offshore spot that we'll talk about. We've got these Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles that are right here. I started right here at the dam. Usually I'll start at the dam. I'll work my way up the east side, back down the west side until we finish. So let's go ahead and just talk about what we find here. We've got the boat ramp here. This is pretty interesting. If you look here at this seawall, and this isn't a good image, I'm gonna have to move it. Thought 2014 was our year, but I'm probably gonna have to go and mess around with this some more. But notice how this seawall just looks like a regular seawall. And yes, seawalls can be great to catch fish around, but my experience has been seawalls with rock is a huge difference. Well, if I move this back to 2012 now, sorry, I was a couple years off, you can see all this rock that's protecting all of this seawall. That's a really good opportunity to catch some fish. The fish love to get up there and get up around that, so you definitely want to go and take a look at that. We've got a slab that's back in here you could look at. Pretty interesting little pocket going on back in here. As we move up a little bit further, the other thing I want to point out, and of course we'll talk about the offshore stuff, but when you come out here and look at this offshore stuff, I've never fished this lake and I don't know what this stuff is, but I don't know if these are old stumps in this lake or what, but if they're anything good, which they probably are, some type of cover, the fish may attract around them. This area right in here looks like a pretty good little shell bed area too. So I'd spend some time focusing on here. Of course, we'll talk about this offshore, but just looking at it from a Google Earth perspective, it looks pretty juicy. Moving up here, you've kind of got the same thing. And again, this will be offshore, but look at these. I don't know if these are old stumps or what they are. Almost looks like root systems that are there. It's hard to tell through Google Earth. Love to know what those are, but that's got to be a pretty good area to go fish around when you find those types of things on this lake. Now let's keep moving up and see what else we can find. Found a lot of seawalls, but not a ton of seawalls with a lot of rock around them. Until we get up around here, we start seeing it again. So right here, this seawall's got some really good rock around it. Those 2 docks look like they could be pretty fun to fish around. You've got more rocks all along this seawall as well. You got a slab that's back here in the back over here. So just show you guys real quick where I'm at. We came up from the dam and now we're getting ready to go into this first pocket that's over here. So let's keep moving up and see what else we can find before we get there. This is an interesting little kind of messed up seawall, but you got the concrete and stuff like that. Could be interesting to fish around. You've got an extra slab that sticks out here that you could take a look at. Looks like a pretty old dock in there. You got another slab that's right in here. And then this seawall again pretty much starts right around in here. You can see it's pretty heavily protected by all of that rock. There's even a bigger rock right in here. Now this is going to be shallow for sure, but those fish will get up there and get up close to that rock. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. More slabs here. We've got a little pipe here. And I know you think I'm crazy, but sometimes you'll find these pipes, especially the ones where like there's multiple ones, and you'll go to the end of them and the fish will just be stacked there in a pile right by these pipes. I don't know what it is that they like about them, but definitely fish around that pipe and just see if there's anything there. We've got another slab that's over here. Again, a lot of those root systems or whatever that is going on in this area. And then we're gonna come around the point, just another slab. We're just gonna see a lot of slabs, a bunch of them back here. A pretty decent little ramp right here. This looks more like I don't know what this is, maybe not a personal ramp. It looks pretty healthy. But one thing that I like here is you'll notice these trees that are right off this point. I'd spend some time right in here and see what you can find right in here. I love how that sets up. Pretty decent little point that sets up, they could come in here and stage before they go back. They could also come out of there and stage here before they go out. So I'd spend some time there in those trees. They're not marked, but definitely take a look at that. Moving back here, I didn't see too much back here from this creek or anything, and not really a good enough channel for me to be able to mark for you guys, but I did notice over here we've got a pretty good little pond dam. You guys have heard me talk about those pond dams being good summer spots too, so you definitely want to take a look at those. Let's take a look. We haven't done it yet, but now that we're up here in Mine Creek, let's do it real quick. We've got the water down right now so we can see where all these trees are. Let's take it up to, this takes us to 2019. And the water was actually pretty low there. Here's 2014. So this is probably more when the water was more at a better level. But you can see that pond dam would definitely come into, that pond is going to come into play for sure. That might be a little clearer pocket or something like that you go check out. So let's keep moving this back. We're going to take it back to 2012. Again, here's where we start seeing all the standing timber. We got a pretty good little point there that you could take a look at. And then we move up here. We don't see too much and we get it back in this pocket. Not much in this whole bank line until we get in the back. And once we get in the back, obviously this looks pretty fun to fish as well. But we've got a lay down that's back there. And then coming out of here, we've got these trees you could check out. You've got a slab that's over here as well. Another one of them too. I would spend some time looking at these trees. They look very interesting to me. Some slab as well. And then we're gonna move on up after we come out of there. So really I didn't see too much in that whole area other than the trees out closer towards the creek channel would probably definitely come into play. But if you're just beating from the bank line standpoint, there just wasn't much for me to mark for you right there in that spot. However, when you get out here off of that point, that changes. You get some really good rock that's around the seawall. These could be good. These docks could be good as well, being more main lake. You got some more rock that's over here too. That looks really good. I could see them getting up in between there for sure. You got more slabs, another ramp or slab, whatever you want to call it, but around this one, some really good rocks. So you got good rock all around these seawalls up here. All basically from there all the way around. So that's a pretty long stretch of seawall that you could definitely go fish. And when you get over here, it kind of breaks apart. I mean, it looks like you may have you do have some rock, but it's not the same type of rock. It's more like that lighter riprap. And I don't know how close you can get in here. That looks like some kind of a substation. I don't know if you're restricted from getting in here or not, but if not, you could definitely take advantage of the rock that's there as well. Then we're going to move up, keep going up here, and now we're going to go into Lie's branch. And as we come up the side here, we're just going to see more ramps, but in between these ramps, you're going to start seeing those rocks. So here again, actually missed the ramp there. I didn't see that. I was more focused on that rock, but you've got rock and ramps. These two could be pretty good spots. Another ramps, 3 other ramps that are right there. You're gonna have to be super careful. Notice all the timber in here. Don't know if they have boat lanes for this lake or not. We do not, but if you can find some, I would suggest getting them because this looks pretty hairy. You've got a pretty good little creek that comes back in here you could take a look at. Again, lots of flooded timber, isolated dock too. So this isolated dock on this creek channel, see that coming into play, the creek channel and the dock for sure. That dock doesn't have anything around it. You've also got more slabs. Look at all the slabs that are coming up. So slab. When we get out here outside this dock, there's actually some kind of debris going on here. I don't know if this is their brush pile or what it is, but something to take a look at. He's also got a nice little tree line that goes right in front of the dock right there. So I'd fish those docks, fish that tree line, and definitely take a look and see what that debris is. Up here, we've got more slabs, a little bit more rock that's coming around here in the seawall. You can start to see it right here. It starts about right in here, and you can start to see it just a little bit. There's not a ton there. Don't know if that one would be worth stopping at unless you had a good lane that took you right there. You've also got some more rock that's up here. And this is really shallow stuff, but this shallow rocky seawalls, they like that kind of stuff, and that's fairly close to a little creek channel or something that's coming in from back here. So you could definitely look at that and just see. Not too big on that spot, but I would go look at it. Now when you get up here, you see some interesting stuff. There's some ditches. I should have just made this a ditch instead of green like a creek channel, but it was pretty obvious there was a creek channel there, or at least a pretty decent ditch that's there. There's another good one that's back here. And then there's another one that's back here as well. Now this looks extremely shallow and it looks stumpy and everything else, so not sure if it's worth getting back into, but I love fishing the river system, so if you could get back in there, I would say go check it out. And when you're going back there, as you come up here, there's a nice little rock jetty that comes out right here. I could see that being a fish producer. You know, really depending on, I don't know if this water gets really chocolatey up here. If it gets really, really bad and really shallow, it might not be worth it. Let's pull it up to 2024. So it may be worth getting up here and just checking it out. The water doesn't look too bad. It does look extremely shallow though. So moving back to 2012, let's keep moving on. We move on down, we've got another slab that's here, and then off this point, so just north of the power lines there, my icon's actually in the way and you can't see it. I'm gonna show it to you guys. Move this over. You got a pretty good little brush pile or something going on right there, so you do wanna look at that. That would definitely come into play. More laydowns. Coming up here, you got another decent little creek channel that comes up here you could take a look at. And what I like about this creek channel, two things I like about this creek channel. One, I love the dock that's right here. That's swinging over and then it's coming right underneath that dock. And then basically this whole bank line right here is gonna be muddy. And they could even come out here and hang out in those trees. So there's a lot of good stuff going on just right in that area. More slabs all around here, nothing too crazy to mark for you until we get down here off the point. And when we do that, we start seeing a little bit more rock coming off the edge of the seawall and all of that. Again, another good little pile of trees that's out here too. Then we're gonna move over. We're gonna kind of go up by that power line. And when we get up there, now that we're up here in this area, let's take a look and see what we can find. You've got some pretty good rock along this bank line, for sure you could take a look at. You got a decent little ramp, a little hidden rock pile out here by these power lines. Everything else looks junky and sandy, but something's going on right here in this spot right here. You can see that there's a little rock pile or something going on there. May even be a community hole, or maybe I've just uncovered something good. Then we've got more slabs all back here. And then when we get way back in there, there is some rock that's over here protecting this little secondary point. So that one could come into play for sure. Moving up here, some more rock. And then we've got some brush piles going on in this area. You can see it right there, nice little brush pile. Moving on up, we got another slab. Then we're gonna go up here and we're gonna get into this little pocket. We get right around the edge of the pocket. Let me zoom out and show you where I'm at. Right here. So when I get in here, this is where I find the rock around the point and some more rock in here. I like this little area in here. I like that. It's probably like a nice little spawning pocket for them, and then they can hang out right here and stuff like that. I like that little spot right there for sure. Let's go ahead and move up. We're gonna finish right up here around the laydowns, then we'll come back for the next video. Let's move up and see what else we can find up here. Another slab. Did want you to check this. I can't tell if it's a brush pile or what it is, but something's definitely there. You got a nice little concrete slab that's over here. This whole thing comes out, looks good. The rock that's right in there looks good as well. You got another slab in here. Then you get out of this pocket. You don't see too much in the pocket really to mark for you guys, but out here along the seawall, you got some really good riprap and rock that they've put in right here. And I would spend some time there for sure, checking those out. Also a couple more things just to look at when you're out there. I did want you to check this. I can't tell what it is, but there's definitely something beneath the water there. So look at that spot. And then up here, we've got another laydown, some more laydowns, and then some pretty decent little rock that's just right here off the edge of this point. It's not a very long stretch, but at least some pretty good rock that's right there. Another slab back in there, another pretty decent ditch. This looks like it could be an old pond at one time, or maybe it's just how it dug out and how it settled in, but there's a decent little ditch just right there in the middle of that you may want to go look at and see if there's anything hanging out in there. Got some more rock in here, some more slabs. And then we get up here, a decent little creek channel coming through here. So you're gonna wanna look at these two docks right here. They could come into play. Got some brush that's back here too. This looks gnarly, so you gotta be careful, but pretty big little brush pile back in there. If I move that back up, when the water's up, I guess that brush pile does stick out, but you could at least fish around it. And then moving up here, you've got another slab, and then we've got a lay down that's out here in the middle of the water, way out here. And then that's gonna wrap us around. Take us up here. We've just got a couple more things to look at. We've got these stumps that are out here that look pretty interesting, very isolated. And then if we move over here around the point, if you look at this little island back here, you've got this little saddle area, and those saddle areas are great places to find fish. So you'll want to take a look at that for sure. And look at all this timber, standing timber that's out here. Craziness. Then move up. Also check a look at this little point that comes over here. If you can get back in here, I assume you can. It's just going to be a little tricky getting back in there, but once you do, definitely fish around that point. You've also got another little ditch that's coming through here, so maybe some fresh water pumping into there. Could be a pretty good little area to find them. And then we'll move up. We'll talk about right here where we've got this slab and another slab that's there, and we'll finish there. And when we come back, we'll start right here where this little creek channel is. What we'll do is we'll work our way on up the lake, and then we'll come on back down. Might be able to finish in one video. If not, we'll make it two, but we will get it taken care of. Hey, if you haven't had a chance yet, please go out, check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. We have all of these waypoints plus the offshore stuff that we haven't even talked about. We put it all onto a card for you. You can import it into your graph. You can have it while you're out there on the lake, and it will definitely change the way you fish. It allows you to set up your patterns very, very easily, and really to break down a lake, maybe even a lake that you've never even fished before, allows you to really break it down super, super fast, saves you tons of time. So go check it out, simplisticfishing.com, and make sure to go check out our sponsors, omniafishing.com. The link is in the description below. Until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.